It's Bickles and welcome back to another episode of Hardcore Minecraft. Now before we get started in today's video, I do have something to confess. I'm actually playing on Bedrock Edition, so therefore I cannot have Hardcore mode on. But I think my opinion would be a little swayed, so I will need your guys' help to determine whether or not this is going to be a permadeath series or a not permadeath series. Whatever you think it should be, leave it in the comments below. Now as far as today's episode goes, I'm going to be doing two main things. One, getting a villager breeder up and going, and two, making sure I have a fully automated iron farm. Now, in the process of doing that, I do hopefully plan on trying to get good trades, because it's not just an iron farm. I want it to be a villager trading area as well. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into the episode. Now, I did happen to do some things off screen, most of which were just collecting materials like wood and so on. I also finished up my farms, made them full, make sure they were running properly. And I also happened to grab some food and do a little bit of exploring in hopes that I can find an ocean monument. I did happen to find one, but I will save that for a future episode. Here, I was trying to collect some materials, some wheat and whatnot, because I saw 2 cows as soon as I spawned in. And I wanted to make a farm, that way I can get the leather I need for the villager trading center. And as soon as I got back, they happened to despawn. So I decided to drop that and get started on the iron farm. Once I made it back to the desert and over towards the village, I decided to try to find somewhere that was relatively flat. That way I don't have to do a lot of digging, but I also wanted it to be at least fairly close to the house. That way I didn't have to AFK at it to get the iron. I just wanted to continuously run. I looked around for a little bit, but couldn't find anywhere that was actually large enough for this, so I decided I'd just make this area a little bit flatter. Go ahead and clean it up a bit. Now that I've got a large enough flat spot, I'm going to be building the main part of an iron farm. So when I was collecting materials for this iron farm, I did not realize that I was actually 5 beds short. So I decided to come over to the village I'm going to be stealing the villagers from anyway to grab the beds. Normally I wouldn't do that because I know if you steal their beds, there's a high chance that they're going to die because they're up and they're wandering around a lot. But I decided to go ahead and do it anyway since I'm stealing the villagers from here. Maybe I'll come back later and bring their beds back and fix up the village. But for now, I'm just going to take the beds from over here. While I was over here, I also decided to kill the llamas with the wandering villager. The reason for that is that way I can get the leads. That way, if I were to stumble across some cows or some sheep or whatever I wanted to use for a future farm, I didn't have to go get material and have them possibly despawn on me like they did earlier. Now that I got the beds, it's back to building the iron farm. Alright, I had to take a break so I could show you this. I mean, what is that? That's a little ridiculous. Thankfully, by the time I got back, most of them had despawned, but hopefully 6 torches would be enough to light this area up. I need someone to tell me what the chances of this happening is. Both of these zombies dropped an iron. If they keep this up, I'm not going to need an iron farm.
Boo, you suck!
Now that I've got the main body of the iron farm built, I'm going to have to build the villager trading center. Now that I've got most of the iron farm done, I decided I'd take a break. Reason for that is I kept having issues and I couldn't seem to get my thoughts quite together. So I kept screwing stuff up and miscalculating things, so I just figured I'd take time to harvest. It's Future Bickles here, and I wanted to take the time to talk about why it's been so long in between videos. If you can't already tell, the reason for it is I wanted to get way better at editing. I downloaded a new editing software, so I wanted to push better quality content than just continuously pushing quick, easy content. So if you happen to like today's video or the way I edit, please make sure to leave a like on the video. If there's anything you'd like to see me do in the future, or maybe a challenge you can come up with, make sure to leave it in the comments below. And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, make sure to subscribe and turn on that bell. Alright, now that the iron farm is mostly finished, the last thing I need to get it running is a bunch of villagers. And in order to get those villagers, I'm going to steal a couple from the village, like a couple blocks away. And I'm going to put them in this village breeder. Now, there is going to be a tutorial up on my YouTube channel for the village breeder and the iron farm. I will be putting those in the description. This villager breeder does happen to be a little different than the one I have up on my channel, but it works pretty much the exact same way. Really simple, 2 minecarts with villagers in it above the fence post. That way when they do breed, the babies fall right down underneath with no issues. Now, I do happen to need a minimum of 13 villagers. But for this farm, I actually want to have 24 because that's the max this farm can hold. That way I can have as many enchantment books and as many trades as possible. In order to get iron golems to spawn, I'm going to need at least 75% of the villagers to be working or at least accessible to a workstation. So I will need a lot of lecterns. In the end, I will need 24 of them, but I'm going to have to go and collect enough leather for all the books, for all the lecterns. Now that the villager breeder is built, I'm going to bridge over as close as I can to the village and steal a couple villagers. So my plan here was to trap a villager in this boat and boat him up a hill using a water trick I discovered by accident on one of my other worlds. But clearly, the villagers had other plans. So the way this trick is supposed to work is you place a water bucket down above where you're trying to go and boat through the water, but if you stay under the water too long, you'll fall out of the boat and lose any forward progress. Well, I clearly didn't do it right and completely forgot how it was done, so I sat here for a minute trying to get up this sand hill, and it didn't work. By this time, I was getting a little frustrated with how long this was taking, and I thought the villager was a nitwit, so I just yeeted it. To be honest, I have no words for the stupidity that's about to happen. I thought maybe if I tried long enough and hard enough, it would just go over the top of it and it clearly didn't. Alright, now that that's over, all I have to do is get them back across this bridge and into the breeder. I'm going to go ahead and jump cut to the point where I have both of them in there already. So as you can tell, the villager breeder is doing its job, so I'm going to go AFK for a little while until they get done breeding a bunch of villagers, and I will be back. As you can tell, the villager breeder did its job, and I have a ton of baby villagers. But now I have to wait for them to grow up. While I was waiting for them to grow up, I decided to go ahead and make the stuff I needed for all the lecterns. And I came in, and there was quite a few nitwits, so I did kill all of them off. Now, there were still more than enough villagers, so I gave as many as I could working stations so I can get iron production running. By this time, there should be some iron golems spawning and getting killed by a lava blade, so I should be getting some iron and some poppies by this. Alright, so it looks like the farm's actually running pretty decently. I'm going to go check and see how many supplies we have. And I do believe that's only the 2 iron that we had from those 2 zombies from earlier, so I'm going to have to figure out what's going on. You know, it might help if I remove the block right above the hopper. Now that it's running properly, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. And I'll see you in the next one.